Yay! It's my fantasy football show. You should watch it. Welcome back, all of my friends, fans, and fellow FTFLers, to the FTFL Weekly Update, the show that all of you just seem to crave, all of you just seem to love. And then there's me. Of course, I love fantasy football. I think fantasy football is just great. So much so that I thought to myself, you know what? When I think about fantasy football, it makes me want to smile. But then I thought, that's extra work. That's work that sometimes maybe I'm sleeping. Am I smiling when I'm sleeping? Well, guess what? I am now. I've solved that little problem. So don't worry. It may seem that I'm upset. It might seem that I'm a little just kind of feeling blue, but no. Don't let the smile on my face be something you look past, because it's right there. You can see the joy streaked across my face for all to take in. That's right. It's another show, weekly update. Week 5 is in the books, and last week we had 2 teams that were still undefeated. Well, guess what? Not anymore. And then there's me, who was saying, well, why not? Let's change the trends. Let's shake it up a bit. Nah, we're not interested in that. That's right, one team still looking for that first victory. Will it come anytime soon? I doubt it, but we'll keep playing the games, because that's what we do. Speaking of games, lots of trades. Trades are kind of a game in amongst the game. You make an offer, there's a counter offer, someone sends you an offer that you look at and you go, well, that's just ridiculous. Why would I make that trade? So it is a bit of a small miracle that not 1, not 2, but 3 trades all went down this week. They all went down. For Jeff was involved in 2 of them. First off, he sent A.J. Brown in a round 15 pick to Peter, and in return, Jeff got Juju Smith-Schuster, and a second round pick. Jeff's first of 2 second round picks he acquired, because he also traded to Sid Ramondre Stevenson and an 8th round pick. In return, Jeff got Jaleel McLaughlin and Sid's 2nd round pick. So he has 2 second round picks now, and has loudly declared, I'm giving up. Yet, we'll see later. Maybe Jeff hasn't given up after all. Lastly, Adam Swart gets Kenneth Walker III and a 10th round pick from me in exchange for Miles Sanders and a 1st round pick. All right. Last thing of note here before we go, Darnell Washington. An ode to you, my friend. Someone who went against the grain each and every week, did as you would do. Not what others wanted you to do. No. You held off from scoring any points until last week, where you scored a half a point. This week you had 2 more targets than last, 0 points, back on track. And what does John do? Dumps you. Sends you packing. I don't need that slouch anymore. I'll tell you, Darnell, there's a place for people like you in the world. A place for people who want to just do things their way. I can appreciate that. All right. Well, that's enough of that. On to the games. The Radioactive Monkeys, one of the aforementioned 4-0 teams, coming in, taking on Make Cramerica Great Again at 3-1. And Cramerica continues to be more great each and every week. 92 points for Sid, 74 for Adam Saltmarsh in his lowest score of the year. He finally gets a loss in the column. And now if you're looking, Adam Saltmarsh, to talk to someone who knows what it feels like to lose, look no further, my friend. But don't worry. Don't get down. Because even in the losses, I continue to have my smile, as you will too. If you're Sid, 26 points for Tyreek Hill, 23 points for the New Orleans defense. That's silly. 19 points for David Montgomery. 4 of his players were at 4 or below, but it doesn't matter, because it's Sid. And whatever Sid touches just turns into gold. Always. The players he picks up, poof, superstars. The trades he makes, poof. Now, although Ramondre Stevenson for a second, a bit of a reach, my friend. A bit of a reach. If you're Saltmarsh, Jalen Hurts, 22 points. Stephon Diggs, 18 points. Josh Jacobs, 12.5. Raheem Mostert, 11.5 points. Now, Devin Achane is out for several weeks. If you are any sort of player, Raheem Mostert, you will now perform, step up. Salty had 5 players at 4 and under. And again, as I said, it was his lowest score of the year. But really, I feel not bad for you at all. In fact, I suggest maybe you embrace the losing and see where it takes you. All right, next up, the Southbound Pachyderms coming in at 4-0. The other aforementioned undefeated team who lost this week, taking on Team Dickweed. Team Dickweed at 3-1. And wouldn't you know it, the Dickweed keeps on going. 88.5 points to Swartz, 64 points. It was Swartz' lowest score of the year. If you're John, Brock Purdy, 32. Pittsburgh's defense, 17. Both players he picked off the scrap heap prior to the game. Leading the charge, Harrison Butker, 11. Dalvin Cook in the lineup, 0 points. Darnell Washington in the lineup, 0 points. Yet, John rattles on for his 4th victory this season. If you're a Swart, 13.5 for Kamara, 11 for Zeke Elliott, 10 for CJ Stroud. Didn't play Russell. I don't have a smile on my face, Wilson. However, wouldn't have mattered. 4 players at 4 or under. Swart falls to 4-1. John, that's right, folks. John moves to the head of the line, first in the division in the North at 4-1. Third game before we get to some fan mail this week, which of course I am very excited about. Andy coming in at 2-2, taking on the Hulkamaniacs at 0. And we've talked about this. No reason to go rehash those things. And lo and behold, wouldn't you know, got beat by almost 80. Almost 80. 49.5 for me, 126 for Andy. Jamar Chase came out of his slumber, 41.5 points, second highest career output for him. Joe Burrow, 28, Dallas Goedert, 16, Evan McPherson, 12. He had 8 points combined from his running backs and still scored 126, 91.5 points on his bench, over 200 combined points. If you combine all of my points, we barely got past 60. But there I was on Sunday night. Monday night, having to make a pickup, having to grab a player off the scrap heap. Why? Because my running back who played the week prior, you know what? I don't need to talk about this. Let's just, Isaiah Pacheco, 10.5 points. No one else was above 8. 14.5 points on my bench. 2 games out of a playoff spot. That's right. Even amidst all of the darkness, all of the sadness. Well, some of you would choose to put on a frown. You can see I am not. My frown is upside down. And I'm only 2 games out of a playoff spot with 9 games to go. And you tell me it's hopeless? No, I think not. All right, well, we're going to move on to some fan mail. Fan mail here comes from someone, Brett F. out of New Orleans. Brett F. Says, Dear Brett, I was wondering, being 0-5 and all, do you fear of being reaped this week? If you could talk your way out of the Reaper's cold, dead hands, what would you say to him to make him reconsider? Hope the show doesn't get canceled. Your pal, Brett F. of New Orleans. Brett F. of New Orleans, I would tell the Reaper that I think he's a coward. I think he's afraid of doing the right thing. That I think deep down he knows. Without me, he has nothing. He has no platform. He has no avenue. But he's too afraid to pull the trigger. I'm standing right here. I'm asking, I'm begging, I'm pleading. Reaper, pick me. Pick me. And make this all go away. Thanks, Brett F. I'm glad you liked the show. On to the next game. The reigning champion Pack Attack 1-3 taking on Mana, 4-time beyond Lucky Pants. Breaking and entering title thieving champ Mana coming in at 1-3. Now, 1 win after claiming he was giving up. Well, now we can make that 2. 131.5 points to Eric's 90.5. If you are Markser, 84.5 points from 3 running backs. Etienne, 32, Zach Moss. What are we going to do with Zach Moss now? Zach Moss, if the team casts you aside, I too know a place where you can feel like one of us. And Breece Hall, 23.5. San Fran's defense, 16. DeAndre Hopkins, 12. 1.5 points on Jeff's bench, 5 buys. 5 buys. Now, he did all of this without a full lineup. He didn't even start a kicker. Kicker was on bye. Whoopsies. $5 goes into the pot. Jeff, the quitter, rolls on to 2 and 3. That seems fair. That seems how this all should play out. If you're Eric, DJ Moore on Thursday night dropped 40 points, gave you all the hope in the world, and then yanked it out from underneath you. Josh Allen, 24. No one else was above 7 points. Eric falls to 1 and 4. Jeff climbs to 2 and 3. And why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he? He gave up. He traded away some of his best players. Yet. There's no need. Lastly, the Valhalla Vandals coming in at 1 and 3, taking on the Architect at 1 and 3. The Architect, who for weeks has been leaving points on his bench, this week brought that number down to only 40, with 98 in his starting lineup to Peter's 86.5. Matt gets the victory. George Kittle comes out of nowhere for 27.5 points. Tua chips in 22. Calvin Ridley, 11.5. Jalen Waddle, 10.5. If you're Peter, Patrick Mahomes, 16. Kelsey and the Jets defense, 15 apiece. Run CMC and newly acquired A.J. Brown both had 11. However, he falls to 1 and 4, while Matt rises to 2 and 3. All right, well, let's go ahead and finish this. I've enjoyed it. I know that much. I'm not entirely sure I like the way I've done the show, but you know what? Maybe there are changes coming. Stud of the week, Jamar Chase, 41.5 points. Burrow, probably his teammate, 28 combined, completely routed me. Jamar Chase almost beat me himself. The dud of the week, definitely my team. No excuses, my team. And the cringy nominee was actually given to us by, I believe, Adam Swart. He suggested that I should have the cringy nominee for picking up and starting Patrick Taylor. I started in on this earlier, and I didn't really want to talk about it. And I thought more about it when I was talking about Jeff's game, and I decided to let it go. But I'm done with that! Are you kidding me? Just 1 week prior, Aaron Jones comes back. He plays. Now, he was on a snap count, but he played. So there I was on Monday night, staring down the barrel. Aaron Jones was going to play until he wasn't. And at that point, I had already flexed a player. I couldn't flex my extra tight end. I didn't have any other players that were playing in the Monday night game. Now, I was down 90 at that point. And I could have said, you know what? I'll go ahead and I'll take the $5. I'll just take that $5. But no, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to do the respectful thing. And I'm going to pay my dollar for a player who got me 1 point and was cut the next day by his team. That's right. That's the kind of luck I got. T. Higgins, he's not playing. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's not playing. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's not playing. I don't want anyone sitting here and talking to me about how luck is not the driving force in this game, and how for almost every single year of my existence in this league that I have been the one on the shortest end of the stick without question. Yet there I was on Monday night, choosing to do the right thing. Well, meanwhile, there's an individual who decided, you know what? I don't need a kicker. I'll pay $5. I've given up, and he's on a 2-game win streak. You tell me where your smile is supposed to come from when that's what's happening. Reaper, I'm looking at you. Make it happen. Make it happen now. Welcome, FTFL, to the Fantasy Graveyard. This week, we will have our first team done for the season. Oh, wait. I almost forgot. I got some fan mail this week. Suck it, Brett. Dear Reaper, first off, I want you to know, I think you are the best. Your reaps are always spot on. Why, thank you.
You have reaped many fantasy teams over the years, but who in the FTFL was the easiest to reap, and which was the funnest? Keep on reaping, my man. Adam S. Eagan, Minnesota. P.S. Please don't reap me. Well, we'll see about that, Adam. But first of all, for the funnest, it must be your team. Because I can't keep the damn team name straight, and I couldn't find it forever in the graveyard. Stop doing that. Now, for the easiest teams to reap, it's always the ones that complain like little bitches after they've been reaped, because I know that they still think they have hope, but I know there is none. Now, Brett, maybe spice it up a little bit and you'll start getting more fan mail. Now to the fantasy graveyard. Stroll with me to the fantasy graveyard. Oh, yes. Fantasy football is just a silly game of luck. Oh, yes it is. Isn't it? You silly fool. Oh. You can see the depression setting in. Oh, we're getting closer. Who will it be? Oh, yes. A two-time champ. But not this year. I'm sorry. Oh, you silly little Packer fan. You thought you had a good team, but you're barely better than the Vikings. Oh, suck it. Who is it? Yes, I see it now. The Pack Attack. Your season is over. You can't outscore anybody.